That's it. 2023 is over. We're starting a brand new year, 2024. Hope that your New Year's Eve was fantastic. Hope the holidays were great. And let's get into some stats and see how 2023 actually performed in the Halifax real estate market. Well, you are here because this is the channel, this is the place to be if you want to get real in-depth understanding of what's been going on in our Halifax market for 2023, because we're going to go into the monthly information for December first of all, and then we'll probably go a little bit deeper and we'll start looking at some of the annual 2023 stuff, see how that compared to 22, 21 and 2020. So biggest thing everybody wants to know, and we always cover it first. So the first number that you want to know is what was our average selling price, because December is sometimes a pretty slow month. It can be very quiet, and certainly when you look at the average selling price here, we were down at $545,700 and something dollars, which is compared to last month, November was $584, so we're down like 7% on an average price point when you look at the actual stats of what's going on there, which is like, it's not totally surprising because, you know, we're coming off like $650,000 highs kind of like in the middle of last year. So it's not that surprising that we've actually come down. But the big thing that is a little bit surprising is we were more or less spot on, save for like, I think looking at the numbers, it was like $587 difference from the sale price average to the list price average. So literally 100% what we listed for on average is what we sold for. Now, like I said, when you look at that to last month, that was 98.5. So we were definitely below listing price last month. Last year, 99%. There or thereabouts again, you know, maybe it was like $3,000, $4,000 in December last year. So it's really interesting that we are getting so close list to sale price. Now, we'll go through some of the markets afterwards and we'll get the details about exactly what happened on specific markets in terms of list to sale price averages. But for the whole of HRM, basically, yeah, we sold at $545,729. We listed at $545,812. It's kind of the same number. Days on market. This is a really interesting one. We're at 38 days on market now. Last month it was 32. Last year it was 32. So we're up 6 days, and that is absolutely, when we get later on into some of the trends of 2023, that's something we've really seen increase quite a chunk since like 2022 year. So days on market are definitely going up. When days on market go up, typically we also see the months of inventory gone up, and that is definitely what's happened here. We're at 3.2 months of inventory now. Last month was 2.6, so we're up like half a month more on that. Last year it was only 2, so we're up like 1 and a little bit months on last year. So we're kind of seeing a lot of change in things going on in our market. There's a lot of complexities and there's an awful lot more to understand, and definitely as we hit 2024, I can guarantee one thing, it's going to be a change again. There's no real predictability in the market that we're seeing right now. So prices have gone down, number of days on the market have gone up, number of months of inventory have gone up. So now let's have a quick look at the number of listings. So in other words, how many listings did we actually sell? Well, we sold 195 properties in December this year. Last month, that was 309, so we're down 37% in volume, which is a big drop. That's over a third from one month to the next. And even when you compare it to last year was 224 sales, so we're down 13% on last year. And again, we'll look at the whole year in review and you'll see that that is absolutely the theme for 2023, that we're just not selling as many houses at all. Now, the number of homes that are active, we're at 629 homes active. Last month that was 789, so the good news is like we're down 21% in terms of number of active homes. Last year that was only 459, so we're up 36%, a third, on the number of homes that are actually available for you to go and look at and put an offer in and purchase and move into in December. So lots more choice, but we're selling that many less homes. That's why the inventory in the months has gone up. I always like to have a look at this one, which is the sales to new listing ratio. So how many did we sell versus how many new homes did we actually list on the market, and get a ratio of that. Now, December this month was 136%. Now, when you're 100% or more sales to new listing ratio, it means that you have got new listings you've got new sales sold more than you've actually put onto the market. So we sold 195. We only put 143 listings on the market this month, which is really low. Now you compare it to November. November was 88%. So November we had sales of 309 and we had 351 listed. So we were putting more inventory on the market, but we were selling more inventory. Now, when you look at last year, it's a little bit weird, this one. Last year, we were at 136% again. So December 22 and December 23, the sales to new listing ratio was exactly the same. Now, in December last year, we had 224 sales and 165 listings. So what it really tells you is that the number of new listings coming to the market in December, pretty much every year, is little. There's not a lot of people that are putting the houses up for sale in December each year. So it kind of screws the numbers up a little bit, but the key thing that you do when you look at all of this is we are definitely seeing a softening of our market. We had a huge 2021 2020 year in terms of the amount of houses that we sold, the prices that we were hitting, everything across the board was absolutely going crazy. And 2023, the big message to take away from 2023 is that it's been a lot different to the previous years. And we can see it in the fact that our average sale price is kind of hovering now around that 540 to 560. We're going to get occasional blips, but it's going to be very interesting to look at January and see exactly how that starts to show up in January or not. Like, are we going to stay the same? We are pretty sure that interest rates are going to flatline, certainly through the first month, maybe even the first quarter, and they're not going to change that because they need to make sure that they've got all the other factors, inflation and the economy, everything else under control at the new higher interest rates. But as soon as you see those interest rates, just even a quarter or a half a point drop in the base rate, there's going to be a flood of buyers that are all sitting on the sidelines and going to rush off. So the key message for 2024 is, like, don't wait for the mortgage rates to change, because if it does, you're going to be caught up in that big raft of people that are starting to look at moving into the market and trying to find a new home. Now, we've covered all of the basic information there, so let's have a quick look at some of the number 1, 2, and 3 markets. So number 1, Timberley Prospect St. Margaret's Bay. Their average sale price there was $605,000. List price was $610,000, so that gives them something like a 99.3% sell to list price. 49 days on market, it's pretty high. Now, they sold 27 homes, they have 74 active, so they've got just under 3 months of inventory. So that was the number 1 market. And you're finding that throughout the course of this year, it's not really changed, the top 3 markets either. Number 2, Sackville, Lower Sackville area. Selling price there was $430,000. List price was $427,000, so like 1%-ish higher than the actual list price. 19 days on market, so still selling in a pretty quick time. 17 homes were sold. There's only 14 active, so they've got less than a month of inventory in that one. And then in third place, we are back up into East Hants, Colchester, Enfield, Elmsdale, Lance area. Their average sale price there was $392,000. List price of $399,000. So you're looking at like a 98% sale to list price. 76 days on market though. There's got to be some new builds in there. I'm sure that's like, because that's a big number. 16 homes sold, 84 active, and 5.3 months of inventory. Now, once you go above 5 months, between 5 and 7 months of inventory, you're back into a balanced market, which also tallies up a little bit why their average sale price has come down quite a lot and 76 days on market. The other 2 markets that we looked at, which were the Sackville and the Timberley Upper Tantallon area, they were both still strong sellers market. And, you know, we're at 3.2 months overall, which is still a seller's market. It's just we're used to a seller's market being 0.8 months of inventory. Now we're up at 3. So everyone's like, oh, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more balanced. Well, strictly 5 to 7 months is balanced. So we're not balanced. The favor is still in the seller's aspect. But it's just everything is taking longer. So it's just a question of time, because that months of inventory has been definitely creeping up as we've got towards the end of the year. So it's going to be interesting when you look at January. Is it going to change the number of months of inventory? Or are we going to start kind of seeing it kind of ramping up a little bit more? Now, when we look at 2023, I went back and had a look at 23, 2022, 2021, and 2020. And the biggest thing that I was noticing was that our volume of sales has gone down a lot. So 2020, height of the market, it was blowing up here in Halifax area. We sold just under 7,500 homes. 2021, more or less the same, like, save for about 30 or 40, we sold again 7,400 homes. Jump into 2022 and we only sold 5,500 homes. So we had like a 26% drop from 2021 into 2022. Into 2023, we only sold 4,800 homes, another 13% drop. So you can see that our volume of sales has kind of like peaked in 21 and 20 and then gone 22 and 23. So it's going to be really interesting as we look at 24, see what's going on there. Now, it's when you kind of look at those numbers as well, the big thing that we're trying to take away is like, well, what's happened? Because we know that in the first 2020 and 2021, we definitely had some big price increases. But then it's kind of held its own as it moved into 22 and into 2023. 2023, we dropped around about 2% off the average sale price from 2022 to 2023. We dropped about 2% in the actual sale price. And it's very interesting that you look and say, well, that was still a massive drop in volume, but the price didn't really change too much. So we're still holding pretty well at that average price point. Now, when we go back to the areas, so like the basic recap of 2023 can come into like kind of 3 to 4 different points. Number one, massive decrease in volume of number of houses sold compared to the previous 3 years. Second thing that we noticed is days on market and inventory were definitely on the up compared to like the start of the year. So that's another trend to take away, that, okay, we're doing less sales, but the days on market and the inventory, the months of inventory, are going up, which then resulted in the third thing to take away, which was that there was a definite flattening on the sales price in terms of the sale price, not the average, not the list price, but the sale price itself. And therefore we got a lot closer sale to list price, currently this month, 100%. So you can see that all of those factors when we lead into 2024 are going to be like, okay, how is 2024 going to go? Is it going to be like back to a crazy market again? I don't think so. We're not going to go back to 2020 and 2021. I think that's one of those blips of a 2-year period when it was just like the perfect storm. We had COVID, we had everybody wanting to move to Nova Scotia, we had people looking at the prices going, that's ridiculously cheap. And therefore we had this swarm of people kind of move into Nova Scotia and drive all the prices up. Now I think we're going to flatline. I definitely feel that, I look at the graph for January 23 to December 23, and yeah, there's a little bit of a bump, but it's basically flatlined. There's been some increases, but we're kind of only about $10,000 up from where we started at the start of the year. Now, going back to the areas, the one thing I did want to do is kind of highlight Dartmouth, because Dartmouth, we do have a lot of different areas that make up Dartmouth, and we don't really get into like how does Dartmouth perform, because it's a fairly big area overall. It's like saying, let's add up the 4 areas in Halifax Peninsula and call that Halifax. Well, we don't. We do north, south, central, and west. Same thing in Dartmouth. We go into Manor Park, we go into Woodside, Eastern Passage, Creighton Park, Montebello, Forest Hills, Colby, all sorts of different areas, Portland Estates. But if you add up all of the Dartmouth areas, it's interesting because the average sale price for the whole of Dartmouth was $514,000, 34 days on market. Roughly, and this is obviously where you look at Dartmouth having so much value and why a lot of people are looking at Dartmouth, we were approximately 6,000 over asking price, about 1.2%. And then also 4.7 months of inventory. So quite a high amount of inventory in terms of how many houses are there for sale. But it's such a popular area that's why everyone's flooding to it. It's definitely performing well in the market overall when you look at some of the sales. And that's really one of the biggest things. Now, looking at over asking prices. So we sold 195 homes. 51 of those homes were more than $10,000 over asking price, which meant that obviously 140 homes were under asking price to get us to the average. But the best one that we saw in there in terms of like highest price, there was a 1960s bungalow that needed some love. Like, you know, it was very much just wood trim, wood doors, wood kitchen cabinetry, pretty interesting pattern flooring. But that was the one that hit the highest. It was listed at 320, sold at 422. Listed at 330, sold at 422, so roughly $92,000 over asking price. And it was an as is, where is. So it was literally, I don't know how many offers they had, but it was the hottest property in the market. And that was in Commodore Park / Woodlawn area, if you know where that is, kind of like just in between Main Street on the right-hand side as you're going up Main Street. So that was obviously the number one selling house. Like $92,000 over asking price when you look at the average, but pretty low average start price, right? $330 for that bungalow. But that was the number one performing, and we had still a good amount of homes that were over $1 million. So that wraps up December. Hope your January is starting off brilliantly, and we will make sure that we are always keeping you informed of everything that's going on here in the Halifax real estate market.